Hey everyone, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Frazier. We got multiple severe warning storms across much of the region, although the Permian Basin is seeing almost nothing, just a lot of these overcast skies. Although temperatures have been staying on the warmer end of the spectrum lately. 89 degrees currently at Midland International. You have the feel-like temperatures getting up there as well, up to about 91. High humidity values, and those winds continuing to bring in plenty of heat and moisture as well. South-southeast at 17 miles an hour. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, I want to show you guys the latest on the dew points. This is showing where all the moisture is across the area. And there's a lot of moisture across the area. This is the perfect kind of fuel for a number of severe warning storms. Dew points in those 60s, typically something we don't see at least this time of year or most any other times of the year. Strong wind gusts are being reported mainly out toward Dryden and Fort Stockton and Alpine as well, but that's mainly because that's where a lot of those storms have been taking place, mainly outside of the region, not kicking up a whole lot out near Andrews, Odessa, Wink, or even Pecos. But let's talk about these watches and warnings because there's a lot of them. Biggest stuff is this kind of split right along the edge of Midland County and Ector County. We're just seeing to the north, it's going to be a lot of that tornado watch activity, while farther south is going to be severe thunderstorm watch. So more rotation is expected the farther north you go, especially going up into the panhandle, while it's just going to be more so thunderstorm activity farther south near Interstate 10 all the way down to the Rio Grande. But let's break it down on radar because radar is kind of looking pretty nasty lately. But I want to get you into those specifics of it. I've been watching this one particular storm popping up around Fort Stockton, and the biggest threats with a lot of this have been that small tornado potential. Let's look at this one heading toward 285 and Sanderson. I'm going to go ahead and pause it now so you can see what the latest is, and I'll even pop in the details from this warning. Sanderson, severe thunderstorm warning. I clicked the wrong button. Give me one moment. Sanderson, severe thunderstorm warning. I'm looking at this staying in effect until 7:45, so another 40 minutes left on it. About 861 people in that warning area. Radar indicated is mainly going to be for that 60-mile-an-hour wind gust, and hail is getting smaller, ping pong size, so about 1.5 inches in diameter. That's a good start. This storm has really seen anything from about tennis ball to baseball sized hail, getting even bigger. All right, let's move out a little bit farther to the west, out toward Marathon. Marathon is seeing this other severe warning storm. It has passed through Alpine, severe warning until 7:15. Let's see if they're going to put a renewal on it based on the new information. Still a considerable threat, meaning some large size hail, potentially golf balls or bigger. Let me get the details on that. 60-mile-an-hour wind gust, 2-inch diameter hail, so about tennis ball sized hail is what we're talking about here. So yikes, that is certainly large-scale storm, but I'm not seeing any well-defined hail core. It looks to me the majority of the hail core is going to be this right here, just that little spot, and mainly any of that purple is going to be very heavy rainfall, if not some pretty large-sized hail. Nonetheless, we're still watching a strong amount of storms around the area, and because of how strong those storms have been, how much rainfall has been falling, I am getting a number of these flash flood warnings too. Flash flood warning for that Fort Stockton area just south until 8 o'clock, mainly because of the large scale stuff I'm looking at pushing across the area, and even heading up into Fort Stockton along I-10. Flash flood warning until 7:15, it says. About 7,600 people being affected because of that heavy rainfall, just sitting there and watching the entirety of the area. Not a whole lot more outside though. But let's move on out of this. Let's get rid of all the information on here and zoom out, because a lot of the activity has just been kind of hanging around, mainly the Trans-Pecos, Pecos County, Reeves County, you name it. Much of the Permian Basin just hasn't been seeing, well, anything. Just a lot of cloud cover. A couple of storms pushed through Lovington, Tatum, and Hobbs, but have now moved out in toward the panhandle of Texas, with Lubbock seeing a large tornado warning popping up. This storm actually started up out near Dora and even along much of New Mexico. Storm chasers have been watching this entire storm as it is moving closer and closer toward downtown Lubbock. We can even see a couple of those cameras that we had out there earlier. Very, very dark, menacing cloud cover. Luckily, I'm not seeing a whole lot for us, so as long as all of the action stays just outside of our area, I'm okay with that. Not that I really want to see a whole lot of action, but certainly something else. Getting the latest on the flash flood warning. New flash flood warning, as a matter of fact. Let's zoom out of there and check this out. This is going to be likely, possibly around Alpine. Yes, so this new flash flood warning is going to be affecting Alpine and Marathon. All right, let's get the newest on that one. Flash flood warning until 11 o'clock. No surprise here. Look at all the rain. Let me actually loop through it for you. Just look at all the rain. Rain, constant heavy rain over the last about 2 hours. I have the radar looping on 2 hours right now. Yeah, that's going to be radar indicated for certain. All right. In terms of hail, looks to be going down in risk. I will happily accept that. But beyond that, it's still going to be pretty unpredictable throughout the night. A lot of the models still showing stuff. Oh yeah, that's outside of the area by now. Not necessarily the case. Given the way a lot of our storms have been lately, these are going to basically just sit on top of Alpine, Marathon, Fort Stockton, rain themselves out, and then we don't need to worry about too much. Okay, still some activity near Fort Stockton, maybe Crane County, trying to get a little bit of that action. Imperial looking at some moderate rainfall, but that's going to be basically it. Sanderson seeing a little bit of that rain as well as that severe warning storm starts to push its way closer and closer. Big Bend National Park, not seeing a ton of activity, just going to be some light to moderate rainfall for now. But let's get out of there. Let's talk about what the Storm Prediction Center has. They have us kind of in the middle of this double avocado risk, double avocado pit risk. Let's call it like it is. Level 3 enhanced, and that's in effect until the later part of tonight. It extends all the way down to the edge of Fort Davis and Alpine, with that severe risk extending all the way to Pecos, to Hobbs, to Snyder, includes Midland, Odessa, and Big Spring. It means that the threat for severe weather is high. It does not a guarantee that we're going to get severe weather. Perfect example is, well, just what we've been seeing. I'm getting new information from National Weather Service, still going to be about 70-mile-per-hour winds with that storm just to the north of Marathon. All right. Let's break down this severe risk, though. Level 3, what does that mean? Well, for Midland, Odessa, Big Spring, Andrews, up to much of the northern Permian Basin, Lamesa, Seminole, Hobbs, Snyder, 5% chance that we could see a tornado. It's not 0%, 5% is very low, and luckily we haven't seen that tornado threat. Most of that tornado threat is staying up a little bit closer toward Lubbock. That's where they're under that 10% risk for that tornado. And well, there's only one tornado in the entire country right now, and it's heading toward Lubbock. Once we move past this, we look at the wind threat. Some strong wind gusts, getting up to about level 30% chance, level 3 of that wind threat. Meaning what? It means you could see those wind gusts over 60 miles an hour, 30% chance of that. With that significant severe risk, it's going to be those black dashes. That's going to be, well, 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That's pretty big. I'm not looking at any storms over there, so we're going to hold off on saying anything right now. More than likely, it's going to be that storm heading toward Lubbock. As it begins to die out, could still maintain severe status moving into the northeastern part of the basin. Hail threat has been a big issue throughout the day and is typically the biggest concern when it comes to any of our severe weather. Pecos actually seeing some decent-sized hail, egg-sized hail, actually shattering a sunroof on one of the Pecos Fire Department trucks. That's never fun. But we can still see tennis ball or bigger hail anywhere where you're seeing those black dashes. So basically our whole area. Yeah, that's what it looks like. But I do see by tonight, things start to calm down. Okay, 72 degrees, still a bit of that strong wind. It's going to help to fuel our severe potential for tomorrow. There's another severe potential, much lower, and luckily today we're being spared because the setup for a lot of this stuff has not been real positive. That golfing forecast, it's continually changing. I've been saying tomorrow afternoon you might see a little bit more of that action. I do want to point out, here's what the IBM model is saying. A lot of this stuff is showing, hey, it's kind of moved out of Fort Stockton with some activity up near Snyder. Okay, it's not too terribly off from where we are now, but let's see how this plays through. I'm going to compare it with one of the other models as to what we can expect for tomorrow and possibly even Saturday. It has all of the storms completely gone out of our area by 10 o'clock tonight. Fantastic. Let's push into tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, a bit of that cloud cover to start off the day. Southeasterly winds, increasing temperatures, humidity, you name it, getting that set up ready to go again. Most activity popping up near the Stockton Plateau around 5 o'clock, potentially moving its way a little bit farther in. Let me back it up a bit. This stuff actually pops up right near Ector County, potentially moving into Midland, kind of falls apart. Then you see some outflow from Lubbock heading in toward Lamesa and Snyder. Tries to push down into Big Spring, not having any luck. 10 o'clock, we're done. All right, let's go into Saturday then. Saturday morning, starting off with plenty of sunshine, southerly winds, and temperatures nearing triple digits. But any storm potential? Maybe southern end of Pecos County, moving up into Dryden, Sanderson, and then it's gone. San Angelo might see a quick little burst of a thunderstorm, and that's it. We're pretty good for Saturday, so I don't have any significant threats there. But I do have that level 2 risk for tomorrow. Okay, well, let's talk about another model, the more aggressive one, the HRRR, or the HRRR as it can be referred to. Here's where it has us right now. Not so much, a little bit more activity in the northern basin. That's the problem with a lot of these models. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, still showing heavy stuff over Fort Stockton. Most of the activity I'm seeing now is closer toward Alpine and Sanderson. But you know what? Hey, models aren't perfect. They never really are anyway. It's hard to predict stuff out here. It's still showing some stronger storms around Midland and Big Spring and Snyder around 12 o'clock, even midnight, 1 a.m. I'm not really looking at that. Much of the National Weather Service is saying that, hey, once the sun goes down, these storms just won't have the energy to really maintain any kind of strength, and then it kind of dies out. All right, as we head into the morning, Friday morning, nice and clear. Actually still seeing a couple of these storms popping off near Fort Stockton, the Stockton Plateau. Notice just to the north of Snyder, yeah, that's going to be one of those storms that tries to push its way into the basin, likely just kind of clipping Snyder and maybe even heading out toward Big Spring. No, not making a whole lot of progress. Then that stuff near the Stockton Plateau begins to die out, and we're relatively good Saturday morning into Saturday afternoon, just not seeing much of anything. All right. Saturday is kind of the iffy one. Storm Prediction Center put this level 1 risk on us. But even then, a lot of the storms are going to be forming up near Sanderson and Dryden, not necessarily the Permian Basin or southeastern New Mexico. All right, we'll be keeping our eye on that. Once we get past all this, we're going to be relatively good to go. Still 40% chance of those pop-up showers and thunderstorms. I'm holding off on going weather impact alert because so many of these days lately, you kind of have a good setup. You have a high severe potential. We get some strong storms, but they're just going to be very, very localized. I don't want to warn the whole area and get you guys scared when there's really no need to be scared. Triple digits do make a comeback by the weekend, and I do see plenty of those storms coming back into play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's going to be associated with our next weather system. All right, I got about a minute left. Let's just go through the last little bit of radar, see if there's been any significant updates. I've been feeling my phone buzzing the entire time. Still going to be 2 storms.